Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're actually going to continue our Star Trek The Next Generation Enterprise build. This is issue number 3, so it's going to be stages 7, 8, 9, and 10. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and get started on looking at each stage. Welcome back. Like I said before you saw the intro, there's 4 stages. We're going to start at stage 7, which it looks like is part of the connection of the saucer to the engineering section. So, and then we'll also be adding more parts to the skeletal support of the saucer, like you saw in the last episode. Stage 8, it looks like we're gonna be working on the second of the Enterprise D's mini phaser banks, and then the underlying structure again of the saucer portion of the skeleton. It'll double in size. So if you remember, this was the first one, so obviously in stage 8 we're gonna get another piece just like this. And then stage 9, we continue building up the saucer, so there's going to be another piece that we'll get for that section. And then we'll also be arranging the deck windows like we did in the last episode. And then we'll obviously be testing lights in that realm too. So, and then stage 10 is just a continuance of the skeletal section, and then another portion of the lighting in the windows. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started on stage 7. I don't see that this build today will take very long. I just don't envision it. I kind of looked at this magazine before I started filming, but there's literally not many pieces to this today. So, I mean, the last couple of stages will be a little bit more intricate because we gotta do the installation of the windows and such, but in terms of everything else, I don't see it taking, like this stage, I don't see it taking all that long. It might take me almost as long to get the pieces out of the bag than it will be for me to actually complete the build today. Or at least this section anyway. So the first parts, as you saw in the last episode, we've got we've got skeletal support U4C, and then U4D is this one. If I can get them out, they're a pain to get out of here. And then we've got the battle section of the rear neck, which is this part. Or battle section rear neck, I kind of said it wrong, but it's this part. So later on, the 2 stages I was talking about, stages 9 and 10 in the lighting, will be involving this section, I believe, of the Enterprise. And then we've got a neck phaser bank left, which is this piece, and then we've got neck phaser bank left base, which is this piece. We've got a couple of springs here, and then we've got 4 BM screws and 2 AP screws. With that, we'll go ahead and get started on the build, and I'll show you what everything looks like after we complete this stage. And just like that, stage 7 is done. I didn't think it would take very long. So one of the parts I did, if you remember last episode, we installed these. In this stage, we installed these onto this section of the, I guess you would call it upper or skeleton. And then the other piece that we did was on this section, we installed this. So there's springs in here, so you can actually, you can't see it, but you can actually press down on this and it springs back on you. I don't know what the point of that is at this point, but who knows. Anyway, so that's what we did in this section. It looks like stage 8. So with that, we'll move on to stage 8, and it looks like we get, like I was saying before, we get another piece of the skeleton to add to that section, but it looks like we also do the other bank. So the other neck phasers. So, like I was saying, this piece is the upper skeleton 5, and I think that was 4. So that actually probably makes sense, the naming conventions, now that I think about it, because it's probably sectors of the skeleton. So when it says D, it's probably the 4th section. You know, so these will probably be labeled when we start putting stuff on this one. It'll probably be 05 or something. Anyways, so then we've got the neck phaser bank right. So like in the last stage, you saw that we had the neck phaser bank left. So that's the right one, and then this is the phaser bank left base. And then we've got 2 springs again, and then we've got 4 BM screws and 2 AP screws, and I think that's the same amount we had in the last stage. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this part, and I'll show you what we did at the completion of it. See you in a minute. And that was it for stage 8. Like I thought, it wasn't gonna take very long. So again, just like I had stated before, you saw what we did in stage 7 and stage 8. We just added this one. So now we've got both of the neck phasers in. And then we also attached another skeleton to the first one we started working on. So that's what it currently looks like right now. In stage 9, it looks like we're going to add to it again. And we're also going to install some lighting, so windows and stuff in this piece over here. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started on stage 9 as far as showing you what the parts are and such. And then we'll get started on the build. I didn't think today's build was going to take very long, and I'm pretty much correct in that assumption at this point. I don't know, this part, there's intricate stuff, because that putting the windows in can be somewhat a pain in the butt. But we'll see. And now that I'm getting used to doing it, it might be easier this time. In the last episode, it kind of was a pain. So anyhow, so it looks like that's it. So for stage 9, the first part is the upper skeleton 3. So as you may remember, we've worked with 4 and 5 already, and this is number 3. So and then we've got clear windows, just like we had in the last episode, and then we've got the dark windows. And it'll continue to match the TV show. And then this is the window reflector for the left. This is the light wire, the wires for, or the light for the left windows of that section there. And then we've got 4 BM screws. and then 4 BP screws. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started on this build, and when we come back after we finish the build, I'll show you what everything looks like at this point, or at that point. And that's it for stage 9. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we basically installed the windows right here on this side and the wiring. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you them lit up. You may have seen it in the time lapse. I don't know if it picked it up or not, but this indeed will. So you'll see it lit up at this point. So that's what it looks like lit up. So you can see. And then I believe stage 10 is we're gonna do this side. So at that point, both of them will be done, and then that'll be it for today. So let me go through the kit, the parts. Actually, it looks like we might have a skeletal section to deal with too, because there's a couple of those pieces in here as well. But I'll get them out of here and then we'll detail out the pieces. And then we'll get started on this stage and complete the episode. So yeah, folks, so this piece is skeletal support U5A. This is skeletal support U5B, so it's obviously going to go on the one we did in stage 8, because that was upper skeleton 5. So I would assume it goes in that section. And then we've got clear windows. So again, like I was saying, we're going to do the other side of that. And then we've got the dark windows. Then we've got the window reflector right. So that's just like we had the left one. This is the right one. Then we've got the right window light like we had on that one. And then we've got 4 BM screws and 4 BP screws. And we're gonna go ahead and do this build, and then we're gonna show you what everything looks like at the end of this, and then we're gonna call it a day. See you when we get back. And there we have it with stage 10. Like I was telling you, I didn't think, well, it didn't take all that long. I had to fidget with this, but it wasn't as bad as the first one. But literally all we did was, from stage 9, we added these 2 supports onto this piece. So now the saucer is pretty, it's probably about, what, a quarter of the saucer probably at this point, the skeletal part of it. And then in stage 10, on stage 9 we did the left one. In stage 10 we did the right one. So what I'll do now is I'll plug these into the PCB board, and I'll show you what they look like lit up at this point. And it says to put it in A and C. So as you can see, that's what it looks like lit up. I don't know how well it's going to come off on the camera, but the lights work, which is a good thing. And anyways, that's where we're at for this episode. Oh, one other thing. In this box, we actually got the screw box that they promised to send. So I'm going to start keeping all the extra spares that we get as part of them. I'll probably label the little plastic sections for the parts that, you know, they are, like BM, BP, etc., etc. But if you like what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. Next week, I'm going to be doing another Ghostbusters Ecto 1 build. So I'm trying to think. I think that's stages 27 to 30, maybe. Anyhow, for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you enjoy these episodes. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.